It's just a trophy 14 inches tall, but it's the most sought-after trophy in the World Cup for the World Championship of Soccer. Professionals from around the planet have battled for its possession for more than 6 decades. But it's the glory that counts in this competition, not the money. The great Pelé put his stamp on the event forever as he led Brazil to victory over Italy in 1970. But Pelé has long since retired, and Brazil hasn't won the cup since. Can Romario be today's Pelé? Or will it be the injured Roberto Baggio winning the cup this time for Italy? Hello, I'm Jim McKay at the Rose Bowl, and we have come up with what should be a classic in the World Cup final. Brazil and Italy, the world's 2 most famous teams, and one of them will win an unprecedented 4th World Cup title. There is high drama here. Just minutes ago, it was announced that Italy's injured hero, Roberto Baggio, will be in the starting lineup. Drama indeed. And in a minute, what we've all been waiting for, the World Cup final.
This is the biggest sporting event in the world, the final of World Cup '94. And after a month of competition, 2 heavyweights rich in soccer history have emerged. It's an absolute dream matchup between Brazil and Italy for the World Cup. And as you watch these pictures from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, you join more than 2 billion viewers worldwide who will make this the most watched event in the history of the world. And hi, everybody, I'm Roger Twibell. Alongside is Seamus Malin, and Seamus, the starting lineup for the Italians.
Well, the Italians are going to go with Pagliuca in goal. He's been immense for them in some very tough games, and he's got some key defenders in front of him. And the big surprise back there is Franco Baresi. Their legendary captain is back, and he is going to play today. And in midfield, they've had some great play in recent matches out of Albertini and Donadoni. But the good news you've just heard from Jim McKay is that up front, yes, he is back. Roberto Baggio is going to give it a shot, and he'll be up there with Massaro.
And with us also is Rick Davis, and Rick for Brazil.
Well, Roger, certainly in goal, Tafarel is going to have to come up big today, although he's only made 12 saves in this entire tournament. Playing in front of him, well, if it were the beginning of the tournament, only one guy as a defender would have been a starter at that time. That's number 2, Jorginho. The rest of the defenders are reserves. As far as midfielders, they've got a solid midfield core, but the folks back home don't like them because they're not creative enough. But when you've got the 2 front runners up front that Brazil does in Bebeto and Romario, forget about your problems in midfield. Those 2 can score goals as well as any pair in this tournament.
That's halftime, so not much added time in this first half of the final of World Cup '94. Romario had a couple of good chances, but not to be. We're scoreless at the half as Roberto Baggio strolls off. And let's go to Jim McKay.
Thanks, Roger. Stand by for an interesting halftime. We're going to be talking to Vice President Al Gore. We'll be going live to Brazil and Italy to check on the reaction there, and also in the Italian-American section of Boston, Mass. We'll also have analysis by Desmond Armstrong and a report from Al Troutman.
ABC Sports presents the World Cup Final Halftime Report. From the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California, your host, Jim McKay.
Well, we had a first half that was certainly not spectacular, but perhaps could predict what we're going to see in the second half. We're with Desmond Armstrong, member of the 1990 United States World Cup team. Desmond, how do you assess? We saw a lot of elegance from Brazil, but no goals.
A lot of elegance. I think that both teams are playing very cautious in the first half, giving each a lot of respect. But I suspect that Brazil will come out and be very explosive in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the second half, and it should be an exciting game from there.
What about our man Baggio? Is he hampered by that injury?
He is a little bit hampered by the injury. I think Italy's playing too many long balls for him to get on the end of it in terms of running. They need to play it to his feet. If they can play it to his feet, I believe they can be successful in the second half.
Okay, very succinct summation of the first half. When we come back, we're going to have live reports from Boston with Mike Dowling in the Italian-American section up there, from Sao Paulo, where there's a great deal of excitement, and in Rome, where Jim... It surprises some people that the most populous city in the Western Hemisphere is Sao Paulo, Brazil. And last I heard, I think the population was something like 12 or 14 million. Right now, I think all of those 14 million are glued to their television sets. For a report right now, let's go to Beatriz Alessi in Sao Paulo.
now, Jim, Brazil is in a state of high anxiety here. We're very close to do something no other team has ever done, and that's to become 4 times world champion. You see, soccer is such a national passion that the whole country has stopped, literally stopped for the World Cup. And here at the heart of São Paulo, the fans are convinced that no one is going to take this victory away from us. For now, it's back to you at the Rose Bowl.
Okay, thank you very much, Beatriz. In Rome, well, there have been some disappointment over there. Everybody's going to gather in one of the great piazzas, but something has gone wrong, and Jim Laurie of ABC News has the report. Jim?
Jim, so far, an unfortunate night here in Rome's Piazza di Popolo. World Cup enthusiasm marred by violence. About 10,000 people showed up to watch the game here on a big screen just behind me in the square, but as game time approached, the screen failed to work, and the crowd, always emotional here, went mad. Some of them tried to storm the screen, throwing bottles. The police tried to disperse them, and now the crowd, for the most part, has disappeared. Many going home to try to catch the rest of the game on television, but a lot of disappointed people here tonight in Rome. Jim?
Okay, Jim, thanks very much. We had heard there was disappointment. We didn't know there was also some violence. Now up in the Italian-American section of Boston, the hub of the universe, as they call it in Massachusetts, we're going to go to Mike Dowling. Mike?
Okay, thanks, Jim. We're here in the north end of Boston, where there are a lot of Italian fans, obviously very passionate for their team. The north end here in Boston, predominantly Italian for the past 75 years, but Italians all over New England have come to cheer on their team in what they hope will be a historic fourth World Cup for the Italians. Jim, back to you.
Well, it seems like the loudest crowd right now is in good old Boston, Massachusetts. So we move along with our halftime show. Time now for a report from Al Troutwig. Al?
Well, Jim, right now, you know that the decision being made in today's game is being thought of right now by Arrigo Sacchi, the coach of the Italian team. Does Baggio continue? Does he come out of the game? If he does come out of the game, just over to my left, a man wearing number 20 who assisted with Baggio on the goal that put Italy into this final, Giuseppe Signori, is warming up. He is a star in the Italian League where he scored 49 goals in the last 2 years, and he, perhaps not Baggio, could be the star in the second half. That decision is moments away. Back to you.
Okay, Al, thank you very much. Al Troutwig right down in row number 1 at the Rose Bowl. The second half will be coming up very shortly. In our anchor studio, the Vice President of the United States, Vice President Al Gore. Honored to have you, as I said, with us today. You know, have you been surprised by the reaction of the people of the United States to the World Cup? A lot of people thought, this is going to be a bomb, and it's been terrific.
It has been terrific, and truthfully, I have not been surprised for one reason. Our 4 children have all played soccer, and Tipper and I are soccer parents, and there is a huge difference in the reaction of young people who have played the game and gotten into it, and those of my generation and yours that really never saw soccer grab hold in the United States. But it's coming big time, and it has now arrived.
And yet millions of these kids who play soccer somehow grow up to be American football fans instead.
Oh, sure,
but,
sure. But it's gaining popularity steadily. It's a great game. This even contest we've been watching here is fabulous. And
okay, a prediction. Who's going to win?
Oh, I don't know. It looks like an even matchup to me.
Sure does.
I'm riveted to it. Who do you think is going to win?
Brazil, but we'll find out. Thanks very much, sir.
Thank you.
Proud to have you with us. Back now to Roger Twibell and the ball game.
Thank you very much, Jim, as you take a look from above at the jam-packed Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. A couple of near misses, Rick Davis, in the first half for the Brazilians, Romario in particular.
Well, Romario had, I think, the best chance of this game. Gets a ball played to him from Dunga. See the spin on the ball. What Romario has to do is try and time his run as he heads the ball, it being off a little bit, and, of course, the angle of his header right to the goalkeeper. A little bit later on, again, he's given an opportunity. This one at his foot where he's given space to run at the defenders. Boy, Italy better not do that too often. He rips away from a distance. Shots on target, but Pagliuca's able to make the save.
And the only Baggio run that we saw that looked like it might amount to something was when he and Baresi combined with a burst through the defense and a nice little soft pass on here. But unfortunately for them, a good run back by Aldair dispossessed Baresi.
Well, scoreless at the end of the first half. Remember the game against the Netherlands, though, Seamus, we did in Dallas was scoreless, and then 5 goals in the second half. The first half stats, the shots way in favor of Brazil, and of course the saves by Italy, and the fouls 9 and 7, and Brazil offside on 2 occasions. As you look at Baggio still with the tape, and the last time Brazil won the World Cup, 1970, that's Carlos Alberto holding up that trophy. And then for Italy, 1982, their great keeper, Dino Zoff, holding aloft. And those are the feelings, those are the emotions that await one of these 2 teams here today who will become, for the first time ever, a 4-time World Cup winner. Italy, Brazil, and Germany have all won 3 times. So one of these teams today will make a bit of history. And there is the trophy. That was former President George Bush sitting there. That's it. And that is it. Boy, hardly any added time there at all. And we have concluded the 90 minutes scoreless. We have concluded the 90 minutes scoreless. Brazil and Italy will now go to a 30-minute overtime. To the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. At the end of regulation, 90 minutes, Brazil and Italy scoreless. That's the first time that's happened in World Cup history, that a final game has ended in a scoreless tie. And this is the 4th tie in World Cup history. And this is what will happen next. 2 15-minute halves, a 30-minute overtime period. And the teams will switch ends between those 15-minute halves. If the game is still tied after 30 minutes, penalty kicks will determine the outcome. This is the 4th overtime game of this 1994 World Cup. Well, how close did they come to score in this game? There weren't a lot of chances, but, man, this was a great one here. Mauro Silva, Rick.
Yeah, Mauro Silva lets it rip. And Pagliuca, I think, simply misjudges it. I think he takes his eye off the ball, and he gets a little assist from his good friend, the goalpost. And we'll take a little look. Let's just watch his head here. Yeah, I don't think his eyes were on the ball. I think he was distracted a little bit by something, a defender moving in front of him. The ball dipped a little bit, but he certainly took his eyes off, and then he gives it the requisite kiss of mille grazie.
Grazie, grazie.
94,194 the official attendance today here at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. Of course, new attendance record set in this World Cup. 94, over 3.5 million people have attended. That's more than a million more than in 1990 in Italy. And oh, what a scene this is in Sao Paulo, Brazil. People can't believe their beloved team could not score a goal in 90 minutes. There's the north end of Boston. A lot of the Italian faithful. Hi, folks. Seamus hangs out down in the north end a lot.
Looks like Hanover Street to me.
Great place to go if you get to that fine city. And the Brazilian fans here, not much to cheer about in this game today. Couple of opportunities early on.
Now this will be Brazil's first overtime game of this tournament.
Well, Taffarel, the keeper for the Brazilians, 28 years old. He has played in 84 international matches. Plays in Italy, Rick, with Reggiana, one of the few, or the only Brazilian keeper in Europe. Brazil's not known for their strong goalkeepers.
That's right, and he actually has developed into quite a goalkeeper, many say, because of the experience that he's getting over in Italy.
And then Gianluca Pagliuca, the 27-year-old keeper for the Italians.
And I think a very solid keeper. Of course, had a tough start to this World Cup when he was red-carded against Norway and had to miss a couple of games. And Marchegiani came in and did a pretty good job for them, but as soon as he was fit, they brought him back. I mean, as soon as he was ready, they brought him back.
We at ABC Sports wish to thank Canon, Coca-Cola, General Motors, MasterCard, and Snickers for allowing us to bring you today's game commercial-free. And we have reached the halfway mark of the overtime. We'll be back for 15 more minutes of overtime, and if there's no scoring, we will go to penalty kicks. No score, Brazil and Italy. California, Brazil, and Italy scoreless through 90 minutes of regulation. They played 15 minutes of the overtime, still no score. They will come back out for 15 more minutes, and if no one scores in, it will go to penalty kicks. That's Viola, number 21, who has checked in. Zinho, number 9, comes out for Brazil.
Well, Rick, another midfield substitution. As we said, that's where a lot of the running has been done, and this is the first time that Brazil has been pushed. Brazil has been pushed hard by the Netherlands, I would have said. Their only major struggle in this competition until today has been with the Netherlands. And it's over.
And that's it. For the first time in history, in a World Cup final, Brazil and Italy will go to penalty kicks. Brazil and Italy scoreless at the end of overtime. Penalty kicks are next. California, Roger Twibell, Seamus, Malin, Rick Davis with you. For the first time in World Cup history, the championship game will go to penalty kicks. And these are the rules as we move to the penalty kick tiebreaker. Each team chooses 5 players, each of whom must have been in the game at its conclusion. The teams alternate kicks, and if tied after 10 kicks, it becomes sudden death, and different players must then kick.
And the coaches of each team submit to the referee their lists of 5 players, and that's what's going on at the moment. We, of course, don't know who those players are until we see each one of them walk towards a penalty spot to take his kick. There's Sasaki with his list. And the key for the coach, obviously, is to try to pick the right order. You want to try to have somebody who you're pretty sure is going to score the first goal, and you want to have somebody towards the end of the first 5, at least, whom you can rely on to make up a deficit if need be.
In 1990, both semifinals went to penalty kicks, and Argentina beat Italy. That was their last World Cup penalty kick tiebreaker, and Brazil's last World Cup penalty kick tiebreaker in '86 quarterfinal loss to France. And nearly ended here, Rick.
Well, it certainly did, because Romaro was presented with a golden opportunity as this ball finds its way all the way across to the back post where he's waiting. He has to reach back to get it. Maybe that, coupled with the Italian defender in the goal, caused enough of a distraction, and his shot goes wide.
One of these teams will become, we promise, will become the first 4-time World Cup champion. We're getting set for the penalty kick tiebreaker here from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. Becomes the first 4-time World Cup champion in the first ever penalty kick tiebreaker in a final. Brazil victorious over Italy.
Well, how the emotions changed, Roger. We saw Baggio in tears after the great victory against Bulgaria, and now he's reduced to tears again for the wrong reason by skying this penalty kick over the top and giving Brazil the World Championship.
And Seamus, you got to question the logic by Sacchi, the coach of the Italian team, to use two of the players that were questionable at best going into this game to take penalty kicks. Baresi at the beginning shot his high over the top. Baggio followed up as the fifth kicker for Italy, putting his over the top. And boy, if he wasn't in a hot enough seat going into this game, it's only worse now.
It is true, though, of course, that many times, Rick, as I'm sure you know from experience, players will ask not to be put in that position. So you got to, I think, at least guess that Baggio accepted that and took the responsibility and deserves credit for that in that sense. But it was a tough position to put him in. And in a more general sense, I have to say, it's hard to let this go, but this is not the way to decide the World Championship of the world's game. I just simply don't accept it. It's not the way to do it. It should be decided on the field of play in some other way.
Seamus, at the end of this game today, after the 30 minutes of overtime, it's doubtful whether these players could have gone any further. How do you continue to go when players are dehydrated, muscle cramps? It reduces the game to just players standing around, and we ended up with a 0-0 tie. Well, how would you end it then?
You either play sudden death, or you revert to what it used to be years and years ago, which seems a little odd to Americans, but years ago there was a replay 3 days later. I think whatever solution you come up with, it's got to be natural and not this kind of artificial thing that we've seen here today.
Well, it does, because it takes a team game and it reduces it to an individual game.
Very much, Roger, and I think that really is the criticism. The sport of soccer prides itself on being a collective effort, one that's put forth by 11 guys throughout the 90 minutes, or in this case 120 minutes of play. To reduce it to a one-on-one battle between a player 12 yards away and a goalkeeper standing in his goal is not the way to decide it. And certainly I think this result will only encourage FIFA to very, very seriously consider scrutinizing the way it's done and ultimately making changes.
Yes. Unfortunately, though, Rick, it's like the stop sign at the crossroads. You know, you put it up when somebody gets killed, unfortunately, at a car accident, and now they've learned the hard way. But I think a lot of people wisely have been saying this could happen in the World Cup final, and this is really not the way to settle it.
So the Brazilians, after a 24-year drought, win the World Cup. Their head coach, Carlos Alberto Pereira.
So how does it add up in the end? Well, I've been impressed in this World Cup as much by the things that haven't happened as the things that have. It hasn't been a bomb, as its detractors predicted in advance, nor have visiting fans spread violence from coast to coast. It has been simply the most successful World Cup ever staged in attendance and worldwide interest. On American TV, ratings have exceeded predictions by far, and the games have been marvelous. Maybe most of all, I've been impressed by the discipline applied in each game by one man, the referee. One offense, a yellow card. A second, a red card, and you're out, at least for this game and the next. I think maybe some of our American sports could learn from this. Less in your face and more sportsmanship. Fewer officials' conferences and more continuous play. At any rate, America has been at its best in welcoming the world, and we hope they'll come again soon. Roger?
Thank you very much, Jim. Well, the final here in the penalty kick tiebreaker, 3-2. Brazil wins their fourth World Cup championship and their first World Cup championship without Pele. And Seamus, I don't know how you explain a nothing game for the first time, but this has been a World Cup where scoring has really been the rule and not the exception.
This is very odd to have it end up this way, but in the end, I think if you look at the flow of play, Brazil was the more attacking team, deserves to be the world champion.
Rick Davis, final thoughts?
I think it's been a marvelous World Cup. Certainly the final isn't the way that I will remember it. I think it's been spectacular. I think that it has done a lot of good for the sport, not only here in the United States, but around the world. And I think Brazil was the best team in the world, and they're the champions.
I agree with you. World Cup 98 will be in France. We've enjoyed bringing you World Cup 94 for Seamus, Malin, Rick Davis. I'm Roger Twibell. For all of us at ABC Sports, thanks very much for being with us. Brazil is the world champion.